What's up, everybody? I'm Alan Seslowsky. Thanks for tuning back into Roster Watch. One of the best parts of fantasy football is always the draft. As soon as our drafts are over, we admire our shiny new team and envision how our players are going to lead us to fantasy glory. Well, then week one happens, and we realize that some of our key players have disappointed, injuries strike, and that's when the fantasy managing season begins, the second draft, or more commonly known as the waiver wire. On RosterWatch Podcast number 282, our co-founders Byron Lambert and Alex Dunlap pointed out that early season FAAB bidding is likely to be aggressive. Since we didn't have a preseason and much of training camp news was suppressed, we were forced to fly blind with some of the players that we drafted. RosterWatch has long advocated a strategy of looking ahead on the waiver wire, asking the question, what players are plausible to be the next big waiver wire ads 2 weeks from now? Who is one injury away from relevance? One of our signature tools, the Ultimate Waiver Wire Cheat Sheet, not only provides you with the best pickups each week, but also is a tier-based list of players you can pick up for $0 starting at the bottom. Players that have a plausible path to be the top pickups in the future weeks. On this video here today, we're going to talk about a few players that you could bid on for either $1 or $0, or even after waivers run, that may be good pickups the following week. If you have the roster space, you may want to consider these players. First, let's talk about Myles Gaskin, the running back on the Miami Dolphins. All draft season long, you felt like you landed a value when you took either of the main two Miami running backs, Jordan Howard or Matt Breida, in the 8th round of your fantasy draft. In week one, it was second-year running back Myles Gaskin who had the most touches with 9 carries and 4 receptions in the Miami backfield. Gaskins was drafted in the 7th round of the 2019 real NFL draft, but wasn't much of a factor for fantasy in his rookie season. If you believe that Miami will be a team that's trailing and playing from behind, then the game scripts should favor Gaskin for much of the season. While everyone is breaking the bank for Nyheim Hines, Malcolm Brown, and even James Robinson this week, you may be able to steal Gaskin for $1 or even try to swoop him up after waivers runs for a $0 bid. Next, let's talk about Royce Freeman, the running back on the Denver Broncos. Denver wanted Royce Freeman to be the running back that replaced C.J. Anderson a few years back when they drafted him in the 3rd round of the real NFL draft. Undrafted running back Phillip Lindsay had other plans, performing better than Freeman over the last 2 seasons. The Broncos in 2020 added workhorse running back Melvin Gordon to split up the touches with Lindsay, rendering Royce Freeman an undraftable player in most of your drafts. After week 1, Phillip Lindsay was diagnosed with a slight case of turf toe. Based on past NFL players who have had turf toe, there is no such thing as a slight case. When you have turf toe, it is nearly impossible to get out there and play. The signs are pointing towards Lindsay being out for week 2, and it could be longer. Royce Freeman is going to get another chance to play. He may not deliver, but you can get him for a $0 bid, and he's worth a gamble if you have the roster space and need a running back. Third, let's talk about Jordan Wilkins, the running back on the Indianapolis Colts. On the RosterWatch Waiver Wire podcast, our co-founder Byron Lambert pointed out that if you drafted Jonathan Taylor in the 3rd round of the draft, you got lucky. You were right, but for the wrong reasons. When Marlon Mack got injured, that thrust Jonathan Taylor to the starting role. None of that matters right now. If your league drafted today, Taylor would certainly be a first-round pick, and your league mates are going to be spending their FAAB money on Nyheim Hines, who is certainly going to have his own role as a PPR back in that offense. The key to $0 bidding is to identify players who are one injury away from relevance. The Colts still have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and Jordan Wilkins is now the clear backup to Jonathan Taylor. Should something happen to Taylor, Wilkins would most certainly be a top waiver wire pickup the following week. If you have the roster space, Wilkins makes sense as a $0 player you can easily cut as soon as you need the space. Okay, Roster Watch Nation, that's it for today. Remember to like and subscribe to get notifications when we go live, and leave us a comment in the video. We absolutely will comment back. Goodbye.